The bicarbonate of soda in your kitchen cupboard right now is almost certainly not what you think it is. It was not scooped from a natural mineral deposit. It was not processed with your health in mind. It was synthesized in an industrial chemical plant using ammonia and brine by a process invented in the 1860s to produce sodium carbonate for the glass industry. As shoppers become increasingly concerned about ultra-processed foods and hidden additives, one kitchen staple has escaped almost all scrutiny: bicarbonate of soda. Nobody put that on the label. Bicarbonate of soda has two completely different origins. The first is naturally mined trona ore, a mineral found in underground deposits which is extracted, processed and packaged. The second is the Solvay process, an industrial synthesis method that combines ammonia, carbon dioxide and concentrated salt brine in factory vessels to produce sodium bicarbonate from scratch. Both produce the same chemical compound. The sourcing, the potential trace residues and the processing standards are not the same. The overwhelming majority of bicarbonate of soda on UK supermarket shelves comes from the Solvay process. You will not find that information on the packaging because nobody is required to put it there. 8 brands taking advantage of that silence, 3 that are not. This starts now. The 8 to skip. We begin with the brand that treats your kitchen like a cost center and your health like a rounding error. 8. Asda own brand bicarbonate of soda. Walk through the Asda store and you will find this product in 2 places: the baking aisle and the cleaning section. Same box, same product. Same shelf placement logic applied to both without any distinction between what you swallow and what you scrub your sink with. That dual positioning is not a coincidence of category management. It is a statement about the standard to which this product was produced. A substance sold for food preparation and household cleaning simultaneously is not being held to food-only manufacturing standards. The purity threshold required for something that goes into a cake your children eat is categorically different from what is acceptable in something you use to remove limescale. Asda has collapsed those 2 thresholds into one product and one price point. Think about what that means practically. When a product is produced and packaged to serve both applications, the manufacturer optimizes for the broadest acceptable standard, not the highest. The food application gets whatever the cleaning application can tolerate. You are not buying a food ingredient that happens to clean things. You are buying a cleaning product that happens to be edible. Those are not the same thing. The fact that nobody in the aisle is thinking about this is exactly what makes the dual-purpose shelf placement commercially viable. Around 60 pence for 200 grams. This next one does not just cut corners on quality. It sources from whoever bids lowest that quarter and calls the result consistency. 7. Morrison's own brand bicarbonate of soda. Morrison's operates its own supply infrastructure through competitive tendering. Commodity ingredients like bicarbonate of soda are put out to bid. The supplier that wins the contract this quarter is not guaranteed to be the same supplier that won it last year. The product in the box you bought this month may have come from a completely different facility than the box you bought in January. This is not speculation, it is how own-brand commodity sourcing works across major UK supermarket chains, and Morrison's is transparent about operating a competitive tender model for own-label ingredients. What it is not transparent about is what that means for the product sitting on your shelf. Industrial sodium bicarbonate varies between production facilities in particle size, dissolution rate, and trace mineral profile. A batch produced by a facility with rigorous food-grade process controls and a batch from a facility with minimal standards are both legally compliant. Both can sit inside the same Morrison's own brand box in consecutive months without any indication that anything changed. The packaging looks identical. The product may not be. When you buy Morrison's bicarbonate of soda for the 3rd time, assuming it is the same as the first 2 times, you are making an assumption the supply chain was never designed to support. Around 65 pence for 200 grams. If either of those brands is in your kitchen cupboard right now, subscribe, because the next 6 are considerably more sophisticated about hiding what they are. 2 in, and the pattern is already clear. Both of these products are sold for food and non-food applications without distinction, produced through industrial synthesis with no obligation to disclose their sourcing, and purchased weekly by British households who have never had reason to question what is in the box. The next items are more expensive. The gap between what they charge and what they deliver is considerably wider. And now the own brand range that uses the word finest as a substitute for the word transparent. 6. Tesco own brand bicarbonate of soda. Tesco sells bicarbonate of soda across 2 own brand tiers, the standard version and the Tesco finest version. Different packaging, different price, identical ingredient list. What you are being asked to pay more for does not exist anywhere in the product. It exists only on the label. The finest tier across the Tesco range operates on a reasonable consumer assumption that premium positioning reflects a genuine quality investment. For cheese, charcuterie, and ready meals, that investment is often real and verifiable. For commodity ingredients like bicarbonate of soda, the finest label is applied to a product where no documented sourcing upgrade, no additional purity testing, and no alternative production standard was ever commissioned. The price differential between Tesco Standard and Tesco Finest bicarbonate of soda does not fund a better ingredient. It funds the packaging decision and the margin that comes with premium tier positioning. The person reaching for the finest version because they are baking something they care about is paying for a quality signal that was never earned by the product behind it. Tesco knows that the finest branding does the work on the shelf. The product never has to. That is a deliberate commercial calculation made at your expense. Quick reality check. None of these brands have actually shown you where their bicarbonate of soda comes from. Not one. This is where the trusted name stops being a quality signal and starts being a commercial asset with nothing behind it. 5. Sainsbury's own brand bicarbonate of soda. Open the Sainsbury's own brand and read every word on the packaging. You will not find this. E535. E535 is sodium ferrocyanide. It is legally permitted in UK food production as an anti-caking agent to prevent bicarbonate of soda from clumping during storage and transit. It does not require front-of-pack disclosure. It may be present in your bicarbonate of soda right now. There is no way to determine that from the label, because no label is required to tell you. Sodium ferrocyanide is the compound responsible for the yellow tint you occasionally see when bicarbonate of soda dissolves in water. The yellowing is the visual indicator that ferrocyanide anti-caking agents are present. Under certain conditions involving high heat and acidic environments, ferrocyanide compounds can theoretically break down into cyanide derivatives. This compound is present in something you bake with, dissolve in water and drink for indigestion, and in some households apply directly to skin as a cleaning paste. The regulatory framework permits its presence without disclosure. Sainsbury's is under no obligation to tell you it is there. It has chosen not to volunteer that information. That choice belongs to Sainsbury's, not to the regulator. 4 in. And this is where it becomes more than a sourcing question. The first 4 brands share one characteristic: all selling you a product you consume internally, apply topically, and use medicinally, with zero disclosure about how it was made, what it was tested for, or what permitted additives it may contain. The regulatory framework permits all of this. The question is whether you are comfortable with it. The next 4 are more expensive, more trusted, and more deliberately misleading. And now a brand whose reputation was earned in a different era and has been living off that credit ever since. 4. Borix bicarbonate of soda. Pick up a tin of Borix bicarbonate of soda, and it feels like something that belongs in a kitchen. The circular tin, the classic typography, the sense of a product that has not needed to change because it got it right the first time. That feeling is the entire commercial strategy, and it has been working since 1843. Here is what the tin does not tell you. Borix is now owned by Green's Desserts UK Limited. Green's Desserts UK Limited sources its Borix bicarbonate of soda from Hassani Food Industries in Dubai. The product inside that nostalgically British tin is manufactured in the United Arab Emirates, imported into the UK, and sold under a brand name that has spent 180 years accumulating the kind of domestic British baking credibility that money cannot buy, but apparently can inherit through acquisition. There is no sourcing transparency on the packaging, no purity testing disclosure, no information about the manufacturing facility, its quality standards, or the supply chain between the UAE and the British supermarket shelf where you picked it up. What you are paying for above the own brand alternatives below it on the shelf is the emotional resonance of a tin that has looked the same since before your grandparents were born. The product inside it was made on a different continent. The heritage on the outside of the tin has nothing to do with the contents. Most people still think bicarbonate of soda is just bicarbonate of soda. That is exactly why these brands never need to explain anything. This is where it stops being about what brands are hiding and becomes about what one brand is actively telling you, if you know where to look. 3. Dry pack bicarbonate of soda. Dripac publishes the following statement on its own website about its own bicarbonate of soda product. Bicarbonate of soda should not be confused with baking soda. Although they are very similar, bicarbonate of soda does not have the raising agents required for baking. Read that again. The company that makes Dripac bicarbonate of soda has explicitly stated in writing on their own platform that their product should not be used for baking. Now go to Tesco, go to Ocado, go to Sainsbury's, Asda, Morrison's, Waitrose, B&Q or Robert Dias. Every single one of them stocks Dripac bicarbonate of soda. In most of those stores it sits alongside or near the baking bicarbonate of soda. The boxes look similar. The product name is nearly identical to every baking bicarb on the shelf. And hundreds of thousands of British households use it in recipes, dissolve it in water for heartburn, and mix it into toothpaste. Because nothing in the retail environment signals that the manufacturer itself considers this a cleaning product, not a food ingredient. This is not a case of a brand withholding information. The information is published. The problem is that it is published on a website nobody reads before reaching for a box in a supermarket aisle. The gap between what Dripac says about its own product and what consumers do with it is not Dripac's legal responsibility. It is a retail categorization failure that puts a non-food grade product in a food-adjacent context and trusts the consumer to know the difference. Most do not, and the people who use bicarbonate of soda most frequently for health and personal care purposes are precisely the ones most likely to have bought Dripac without ever knowing they were using the cleaning version. Stop for a second. Ask yourself which version is currently in your kitchen, then check the box. And here is the strange part. The more health-conscious the shopper, the easier some retailers make it to assume a standard that was never applied. 2. Waitrose own brand bicarbonate of soda. There is a specific feeling that comes with shopping at Waitrose. Not just the products, the feeling that the editorial work has already been done, that the store has already asked the questions you would ask if you had the time, the access and the expertise, that the things on these shelves have already been through a filter that the things on other shelves have not. For a significant portion of the Waitrose customer base, that feeling is the reason they shop there. It is also, for this product specifically, entirely unjustified. Waitrose own brand bicarbonate of soda is a commodity ingredient produced to the same industrial standard as every supermarket own brand on this list. No natural sourcing disclosure, no published purity testing, no documentation of whether the product was manufactured in a food-grade dedicated facility or a multi-use industrial one. The word Waitrose on the label is doing the entire job of quality assurance, and it is doing that job without any supporting evidence from the product itself. The premium here is not paid in pence, it is paid in misplaced trust. A shopper who would look twice at a Tesco own brand bicarbonate of soda will reach for the Waitrose version without a second thought, because the store has already established the credibility that makes that scrutiny feel unnecessary. That is not a flaw in consumer behaviour. It is a retail strategy. Waitrose has built an environment in which the act of shopping there functions as the quality check, relieving the customer of the need to look at the label. For products where that trust is warranted, it is a genuine value proposition. For a commodity ingredient where no additional standard was applied, it is a trust premium that the product did not earn and the store is not accountable for charging. Before the number 1, and this one will be in your kitchen right now, 7 brands. Every one of them selling you bicarbonate of soda without disclosing how it was made, whether it was tested, or what permitted additives it may contain. Some charge commodity prices for commodity opacity. Others charge premium prices for the same opacity in better packaging. The brand at number 1 is the most purchased, the most trusted, and the least questioned. The gap between what that trust implies and what the product delivers is the widest on this list. Save this one. Because this is the brand in more British kitchens than any other. and it has quietly become something different from what it was when it earned that position. 1. Dr. Oetker bicarbonate of soda. Dr. Oetker solved the label problem before the label problem existed. The sachet format opens at one end, empties in one motion, and goes directly in the bin. The ingredient information was never designed to be read. It was designed to be used and discarded before most people register what they were holding. That is not an accident of packaging design. It is its most important commercial function. Compare how you interact with a 200-gram box of bicarbonate of soda versus a Dr. Oetker sachet. The box sits in your cupboard. You open it repeatedly. You see the label dozens of times over months of use. Something on it might eventually register. The sachet is gone in seconds. It never had a chance to be scrutinized, and it was never meant to be. But the format is only half of it. The deeper mechanism is generational. Dr. Oetker bicarbonate of soda is not a brand most British bakers chose. It is a brand they inherited. You learned to bake from someone who used Dr. Oetker. The red and white sachet appeared in the recipe before you were old enough to question recipes. By the time you were buying your own ingredients, the brand was already pre-installed as the correct answer to the question of what bicarbonate of soda looks like. Dr. Oetker has not maintained its position in British baking through ongoing investment in quality or transparency. It has maintained it through the most powerful force in consumer behaviour, the unexamined habit passed from one generation to the next, wearing the same red and white packaging it always has, counting on the fact that you learned to trust it before you learned to read it. The 3 worth buying. Every brand above is competing on pricing, heritage, organic adjacency, or cultural habit. None of them are competing on verified ingredient quality, because verified ingredient quality costs more to produce and more to document. The 3 brands below made a different calculation. The cost difference is real. The reason for it is also real. This first one is the only brand in this category that treats food grade and cleaning grade as 2 different products rather than one convenient box. 3. Bob's Red Mill bicarbonate of soda. Bob's Red Mill sources its bicarbonate of soda from naturally mined knackellite deposits, a naturally occurring sodium bicarbonate mineral found in underground formations in the United States. It is not synthesized in a chemical plant. It is extracted from the earth, processed to remove impurities, and packaged specifically for food use. Bob's Red Mill doesn't market this product for cleaning, deodorizing, or industrial use. It is produced and tested to food-only standards, which matters particularly if you use bicarbonate of soda to wash fruit and vegetables. Research has shown that soaking produce in a bicarbonate of soda solution removes surface pesticide residues more effectively than water alone. For that specific use, the grade of what is in your box is not a minor detail. The company tests for heavy metals including arsenic, lead, and mercury, and publishes those results. Open a box and the difference is immediate. Uniform fine texture, dissolves cleanly in water, no chemical aftertaste. That is what bicarbonate of soda is supposed to taste like when it has been produced and tested properly. Available on Amazon, Holland and Barrett, Whole Foods UK, and online. The next one is owned by its members, and those members have a direct financial interest in the product being exactly what it claims. The next one is owned by its members, and those members have a direct financial interest in the product being exactly what it claims. 2. Whole Food Earth Sodium Bicarbonate. Whole Food Earth is a UK-based whole food brand built on a single operating principle: trace everything back to its source and publish that accountability rather than relying on packaging to carry the claim. The brand holds Soil Association organic certification and a maximum 5-star food hygiene rating. Both of those require independent verification, not self-declaration. The bicarbonate of soda is produced to food-grade standards with no synthetic processing aids, is GMO-free, and comes in fully compostable packaging made from renewable plant sources, the only product across this entire list where the packaging itself reflects the same values as the production process. The Soil Association certification requires full supply chain traceability, audited annually by an independent body. That means the claim on the front of the bag has to be provable every year to an organisation that has no commercial incentive to be generous. The product behaves differently in baking and in solution from the industrial brands covered in the first half of this list. Fine, consistent particle size. Clean dissolution without cloudiness or residue. No yellow tint in water, which is the visual indicator that anti-caking agents are absent. For consumers who have been buying supermarket own brand or heritage brands, assuming the word pure on the label was a verified claim rather than a chemical description, this is what a verified claim actually looks like in practice. Available on Amazon UK and through the Whole Food Earth website directly in sizes from 500 grams up to 3 kilograms, at prices that reflect the certification behind the product rather than the marketing spend on top of it. 1. Dove's Farm Bicarbonate of Soda. Michael and Claire Marriage started growing organic wheat in Berkshire in the late 1970s and built Dove's Farm into the most trusted independent baking brand in the UK without selling it to anyone. That last part matters more than it might seem. Every brand in the first half of this list is owned by a corporation that acquired the brand equity and then made cost decisions with it. Dove's Farm is still owned by the people who built it. That ownership structure is not incidental to why this product sits on this side of the list. The Dove's Farm bicarbonate of soda is a single product. It is not organically certified specifically for bicarbonate of soda, and it would be dishonest to say otherwise. What it is: gluten-free certified, kosher certified, packed in the UK, produced by a family company whose founding commitment to clean ingredients means the supply chain receives a level of care that a quarterly earnings report never demands. It is a straightforward product made by people who care what goes into it, for reasons that have nothing to do with a brand team's positioning strategy. That might sound like a modest claim. Against the brands above it on this list, it is not. The bar for bicarbonate of soda in UK supermarkets has been set so low by decades of commodity production and zero disclosure culture that a product that is simply honest about what it is, produced by people with a genuine stake in its integrity and available in a format you can actually read before you empty it, represents a genuinely different choice. Available on Amazon, Waitrose, Ocado, and independent health food retailers. 8 brands. All of them sell you a product you bake with, clean your teeth with, and swallow for indigestion, with no obligation to tell you how it was made or what it was tested for. 3 brands that decided transparency was part of the product. The next time you open a kitchen cupboard and reach for the bicarbonate of soda, the label is either telling you everything or it is telling you nothing. Now you know which one you are holding. If this changes what you will buy at your next shop, subscribe, because the next breakdown goes through the baking aisle ingredient by ingredient.